Super serious video. This is the second take at this because I kind of went a bit nuts in my other take because I was really hyper, and I'll upload that. I'll keep that because I think it's quite funny. The batshit take. I can't say batshit, but because YouTube's bullshit policies. But Fred, shut the fuck up! I'm making a video. Jesus Christ, man. Welcome to my movie review of Final Destination Bloodlines, aka Final Destination 6, aka Final Destination 6 Bloodlines. It's the sixth Final Destination film, 14 years after the fifth one, and this franchise is still going. I was literally, the first one came out the year I was born, and now I'm 25 soon. Fuck. Anyway, so this came out last month, but I didn't actually get around to seeing it because there was other stuff I wanted to see first. Because I'd seen Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning and Lilo and Stitch, and I feel like there's another one that I'm missing here. Yeah, I'm seeing Karate Kid tomorrow, so I want to review this. I saw this today with my friend, and right off the bat, I loved it. Thought this film was fucking fantastic, and this could easily be the best Final Destination film. Because I remember Matthew told me that he thought it was the best one. I'm thinking, that couldn't be better than 2. It managed to fucking surpass the first 3 and the 5th one. Obviously, it's going to pass the 4th one. Come on, they can't make one worse than that. So, anyway, the plot of Final Destination Bloodlines is there's this girl and this guy. They're going on a date night in this really expensive place. One thing leads to another. The place collapses. All havoc breaks loose. Bunch of people fucking die. And then this other girl ends up having that vision. And this event takes place in the 60s before the events of any of the film happened. Then we cut to present day where this woman has just had this vision, and it's in her college class and all that. So she's like, oh, whatever, and it's really interfering with her because like her friend is like being kept up at night. So she goes back home to visit her family, and they're having kind of problems. She goes home to her father and her brother, and she talks about the dreams and all the other stuff that she's been having, and wants to visit her auntie, and she, her mother's left and stuff like that. So essentially, she goes to her auntie's house with her brother. They're having these kind of issues or whatever. She was on probation for a while and all this stuff, and she ends up having this kind of friend that she's kind of falling out with. This girl, bitchy kind of friend. These other 2 guys, one's got piercings and is the funniest character in the film. He's an asshole, but he's like a lovable asshole. He's just the guy in the second movie. I feel like every Final Destination has that one character that's just like the fucking most entertaining to listen to, So I think he fits the bill in this one. They're all kind of fucking around. She's talking to the auntie and uncle. She's like, talking about all these weird visions and dreams, and she's imagining like her grandmother, and they're like, oh no, she's a crazy woman. You can't find out any information about her. And then she's like, she wants to know why she's having these dreams, and she's desperate to find out. So she ends up being told subliminally, look, there's something under there. Don't go and check it. She goes and checks it and goes to visit her grandmother, who is the woman at the start of the film who had the vision. And essentially, she goes to this place, talks to her. The grandmother is like super paranoid and suffering from PTSD, and has locked herself up because she wants to avoid death and the design and stuff. So she tells her about everything that's happening and how paranoid she is, how to be safe. Death does try to intervene a few times there. She mentions that she has cancer. She ends up dying on the spot, and they go to that funeral. But more and more events start happening. They go to the funeral. She's kind of talking about, death's design, and getting very paranoid. And then eventually, death starts killing people off one by one in some of the fucking goriest and most creative ways in the entire fucking franchise. And basically, she's trying to convince people they don't believe her at first. There's people getting fucking slaughtered left and right. The father dies by fucking, in a really graphic way. It's in the trailer. Then you have the the friend who eventually, like, the girl who ends up getting crushed by um a garbage truck, which reminded me of Child's Play 3, but this was fucking miles better than the death scene in that film. And that death scene was great, but fuck me, this really used it to its advantage. Um, and if people are just getting killed off one by one, they're trying to figure out who's next, and people don't believe her first, but then they're starting to believe her, so they have to try and stop Death's plan, essentially. That's the plot. And I want to just say this right now, right off the bat. I think that this film is easily and without a doubt the best Final Destination film ever. I'm not even just going to say this, right? I love these films, right? I love most of them. I don't really like the fourth one that much. I used to love the fourth one. I used to not like the third and fifth one, which I look back on my younger self and go, how? Because I love the first three films. I love the fifth one. I honestly think, like, I always jump between either if the second or fifth one's my favorite, or maybe the third one. See, it's that. But now I know for a fact that this one is my favorite one. This film is fantastic. There is so many reasons I love this movie, right? First of all, the fucking filmmaking, right? Holy shit. There is some fucking phenomenal uses of the camera in this film, right? There's moments where you see the character driving and there's a big fucking massive wide shot of, like, the city, and then close up of the car and her in the car driving and whatever, you know, driving through the woods and all this other kind of stuff. There's like where they're all driving in the car and they're all having dialogue. Oh, we have to stop Death's design. We need to do this. So what are we going to do? What if you die? It's like, look, we have to get through this together. Blah, blah, blah. You know, they're kind of these great dialogue scenes between the characters, between her, the mother, and the son. They're kind of driving or whatever. And then when it's the group of them driving, you know, in this place, there's just these great dialogue moments. There's even beautiful shots of, like, the forest kind of look, and the fucking, you know, the car kind of driving, her driving the car through the forest, and the music telling the story and seeing her stress and stuff. And it was just great. Like, the camera work and throughout the film is amazing. Like, during the death scenes as well, like, you know, like the opening death scene when they're all falling to their death, the way the camera moves and the fucking horror and the and stuff like that, it's fucking amazing. It's just so well directed, and the editing is on point when it comes to jump scares, when it comes to gory deaths. It's just perfect. Um, and let's first of all talk about one of the things I love about the film is the characters. They're memorable. They're likable. Straight away, you get a sense that this girl is, you know, on edge throughout the film, you know. But it's done, like, it's done in a very campy way, and it's a very self-aware film as well, right? Um, it's very self-aware of how goofy the fucking movie is. There's a fucking hilarious scene, right, where, you know, they've just after been talking about, like, oh, we need to figure out how to, you know, stop Death's design, stop Death's plan or whatever. And the, you know, uh the guy with the fucking piercings and shit goes, hey, can I talk to you for a second? It's like, yeah. It's like, look, I'm gonna say this now. We're gonna have to kill you. He's like, no, I don't want to do that. Like, man, please, look. You know we're gonna have to beat Death's designs. Yeah, but I don't want to fucking die, man. He's like, yeah, I know, but we're in a hospital. I'll kill you, and then we'll revive you. It'll be fine. You know, it's just this great, like, dark humor, and I just think it works so. It's like, I don't want to do that. It's like, look, it's gonna be okay. Come on. You can do this, right? And then they walk off, right? And the film does a great job earlier on by like establishing and foreshadowing that he has a peanut allergy, right? Which is very different to have someone have an allergic reaction. Now he doesn't end up dying from that, but still, I'll go back to that scene in a sec. So they go off and they're like, okay, we got to figure out what to do. So like, he's kind of walking around the hospital. He's kind of like, ooh, he's like, oh, he's like, can I help you? Oh yeah, I'm just trying to find something, you know. And then he grabs the thing, and he walks off, and he sees this old woman, and he's like, oh, I'm just coming over here, yeah, to my nana, and all that. And I'm just like, oh my god. And he sits down, and she's all like, wonderful days, and it's like, yeah. Do you have any time left or whatever? Do you have much time left? And she's like, I think so. You know, it's just this really funny moment. And then, like, he's kind of walking around, figuring out what's going on. You know, and there's this, like, it's really funny because he's kind of, like, looking for him and shit. And, you know, he's like, I don't want to do this. It's like, okay, come on, we gotta figure out what we're gonna do. We gotta get the nuts. So then he goes, how are we gonna kill me? Or whatever. And he goes, look, I don't know how we're going to do this. Like, look, you can do this. We're going to revive you. It's going to be fine, you know? And he's like, how are we going to do this? And he's just like, all I'm going to say is it's going to get a little bit nuts. And I just fucking laughed at that. Also, can I just point out, the trailer for this film was perfect fucking marketing. Because the teaser trailer for this film, right, was funny. Okay? It was really funny. Because it was misleading. Which is what I loved. Because, right, in the trailer and in the movie, there is a scene, the first trailer, there is a scene in the film where the guy is doing his tattoos. Now, obviously, in the movie, it's longer. It's a longer scene, it's whatever. But he's kind of doing a tattoo, he's doing, no, he's doing a piercing on a girl, like, yeah, oh, you know, it's like, is that it? It's like, yeah, and it's like really graphic and detailed, and you're like, whatever. And he's just kind of like doing the piercing or whatever, and the guy is giving him shit about fucking, oh, you gotta lock up, you gotta do this, blah, 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 whatever. And he goes, hey, I didn't have to fucking lock up today. He's like, not my fucking problem. He goes, die in hell, you know, that kind of shit. He goes, die in hell or whatever. And he goes, can you believe that shit? My fucking old man dies, and he makes me clean it up. It's bullshit. And he's like, I was like, yep, is that okay? And she walks off, whatever. And he's just kind of blaring, like, you know, this fucking heavy metal music, and someone's, like, messaging him. And, like, even funny moments where she's like, are you okay? She's like, fuck off. I'm tired. I'm going to bed, you know. Funny moments like that. And he's just kind of doing whatever. And then he looks and then he goes and puts his fucking sad playlist on. And I'm like, this movie knows exactly what it's fucking doing. This is 100% a horror comedy. This is how you do dark comedy. Okay? This is just perfect. Anyway, he's tattooing himself, right? And then, like, you're kind of getting a sense, like, there's things, like, kind of, like, disconnecting. There's, like, this bobblehead that's, like, a skeleton thing, which is kind of promotion for the film. The chain's kind of breaking around the fan, and it kind of cuts around the room. Chain ends up going into his nose. He's like, fuck! Oh, God! You know, and then he's kind of getting wrapped up, and then he's, like, trying to get it off him, and it smashes into the thing, and the tension is great, and there's a lot of, cringe moments and all that, and then it's kind of going on, and then the thing starts fucking smashing and going on fire, and he starts screaming like, ah, or whatever, and it goes off, and the place blows up. You know, get a shot of the whole place blowing up or whatever. Alright, great effect. But the next day, you're thinking, okay, so he's dead. And, like, when you watch the trailer, like, oh, he's dead, whatever. Because they do that sometimes in trailers. They'll show a kill or whatever. And then, you know, the girl wakes up, oh my god, he was next on the list, what do we do? You know, so then she runs to her brother, Charlie, you know, and it's like, Charlie, he's like, what? And all that, he's like, have you heard from him? He's like, no. It's like, and he checks his phone, waking up, he's like, no, I haven't, or whatever. It's like, oh my god, there could be something wrong with him. It's like, he's probably fine. Have you heard from him? No, you know, but he's probably fine, you know. And then they kind of run off and stuff. And then, you know, you get this kind of moment where, you know, yeah, you get this kind of moment, right, where they run off and shit. And driving, like, I don't know where he is, and they're running to the house. She's like, look, you need to go away. Like, you need to back the fuck off, or whatever. And then eventually he just shows up like, hey, it's like, oh, we heard about the fire. You alright? He's like, yeah, I'm fine. I survived death, man. I can't die. It's like, look, no, just because, you know, hold on. I might crack open a can of beer here. Shit. Okay. Um, you know, and he's like, no, I can't die, you know, and there's this really funny scene with really fucking great camera work and movement, you know, as it's panning through the neighborhood. He's just like, oh no, I can't die, you know. And then it's like anything could happen, death could happen. It's like, oh, what? I'm not gonna die. You know what's gonna happen to me, right? It's like, well, you could end up, tripping over that leaf blower guy. You know, there's a guy blowing leaves and there's people doing other things. Like, no. Well, the kids could hit you with the soccer ball. Oh, yeah, soccer ball, yeah. Yeah, that's pretty deadly. Like, how? And he's like, oh, but she goes, do you really think it's going to happen with a soccer ball? You know, her brother asks. And he's just like, no, but he could hit you and then he could fall. He's like, yeah, that is pretty deadly. But then there's a moment where you think he's walking the road, I can't die. And you think, oh my God, it's going to be like the first Final Destination. And the bus nearly hits him. Like, and he's like, oh, thank God, you know? And I really like that kind of subtle referencing, but they did something different. Mm, yeah. Yeah. They do this kind of subtle referencing, you know. And it's like, oh my God, blah, 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 blah. Look, she's like, give it a fucking rest. I'm so sick of your fucking death fantasy bullshit. And the girl comes out and goes, he's like, and then he's kind of just bragging, I can't die, I'm great, blah, blah, blah. And he's just being like sarcastic. And she's like, no, 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 you're going to die, you're going to die. And the fact that she was able to play it off so straight as well is funnier. And then the sister comes out, like, oh my God, what is your problem? It's like, yeah, you're being super weird. Like, and he's going, I can't die. And he's saying all this stuff. It's like, yeah, you're being super weird. And she's like, look, would you give it over with this fucking death fantasy bullshit? You know? And it's like, yeah, like, it's getting annoying. It's like, I can't fucking take it. And then there's a garbage truck. He's like, no, watch that. Watch the pole. He's like, oh, what about this pole? You know, he's kind of fucking around a bit, going, oh, watch the tree. He's like, oh, what? This tree? Oh, I'm so scared. You know, he's just being a sarcastic fucker, you know. Oh, you know, and all these things. Oh, whoa, this tree. Oh, yeah, this is going to happen. He's making fun of her, basically. And then there's a garbage truck. Like, be careful. You know, there's a garbage truck there. And it's great foreshadowing for what's going to happen. And you're always like, oh, fuck, what's going to happen here, you know? Um, I was like, oh yeah, like nothing's gonna happen. I'm fine or whatever. He's like, oh, this garbage truck. Oh, you like that? Oh, you like that? And he starts fucking caressing it, and nearly hits him. I was like, look, I'm done with this shit. And your woman walks off, right? And she ends up getting knocked out of the way somehow. While the garbage truck knocks her. She flies with the fucking bin, which is hilarious. And they knew exactly what they were doing. Like, no, and just running, and then he's trying to jump in the garbage truck and the fucking driver's just there singing some fucking, it's like, yeah. I was like, stop the fucking, and he's just there, yeah, singing this fucking song or whatever. And she's like, take my hand, my sister's in there. It's like, no, she won't die, she's not next, or whatever. And she tries to fucking, like, save her. It's like, my sister, you know, the guy's like, stop it, my sister's in there. And she's trying to, like, grab my hand. And she's getting crushed and she jumps in or whatever. She's like, oh, grab it. And the tension in the scene is great. It manages to be fucking hilarious and tension building at the same time. But it eventually ends up crushing her and blood squirts everywhere. And she pulls the arm off. And you're just like, holy fuck. And you're like, oh my God. You know, and they're crying and stuff. And it's like, the deaths are over the top and funny. But like, they still do take them seriously. You know, you get the funeral scenes and the editing's on point with that. But the foreshadowing in this film is great. The opening shot is kind of like panning down. You see like a train track, and you know instantly cars kind of passing by, and you got like this young couple who are about to have a date night, and they're just talking in the car about, oh, this is going to be a great night and blah, 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 blah. They're just having great dialogue with each other in the car. And they get to this place like, oh, I can't wait to spend the night with you. And they go, and they're like, wow, that building is tall. And it foreshadows everything. But it takes place in like the 60s, this opening scene, even though it's very futuristic. And they go and in this tour and they're like, hi guys, this building is really tall. Let's go up the elevator. And at first it's kind of odd and stuff like, but the cold opening to the film is actually quite long as well. I like that. I really enjoyed that. Mm. The dialogue between the characters in the car and then when they're going up the elevator and talking, and you really believe that they love each other and they're trying to make a reservation and stuff like that. Um, and she's all like, "Oh, yeah," and he's like, "Sorry, I don't see your name on the list." She's like, "Oh no, no, we're there." It's like, "No, no, sorry, I'm really sorry, and I do feel bad." It's like, "Oh please, I'm trying to impress my girlfriend. It's her anniversary." Blah blah blah. I was like, "No, no, no, I'm sorry, nothing I can do." And they kind of just walk around and do stuff, and they're like, "Oh, look at the view." And there's many moments where she's kind of unsettled, which is kind of the Final Destination tradition. You see a lot of things foreshadowing, like this little snotty nosed kid, and the lift is kind of going up, and she's kind of looking down, like what the fuck is going on, and she's looking down. And the guy's like, "Oh, are you afraid of heights?" And she's like, "Oh, sorry, sorry, sorry. Oh no, look, sorry, I don't want to ruin it." It's like, "Hey," and she puts the rose on him and is like, "Look, you're not going to ruin this night. It's a night for me and you," and it's really sweet. And they're going around looking at, oh, this is beautiful, this is beautiful, and there's a lot of scenes and seeing characters do different things, and you do see this little black kid, and that's not racist. I'm just saying, um, but he's actually very important to the story, and I didn't see the twist with him coming, which I thought was excellent. I mean, perfect, just perfect. Um, when you see this little kind of snot nosed kid, and then they go outside and they're looking, they're like, "Oh my god, it's beautiful out here." And then there's a kid kind of playing with a coin, and see, there's all this thing like she's looking down at the glass, and there's people dancing, and all of this kind of subtle foreshadowing, like the scene of them kind of going around the party and going on for a while. This talk, goes on for a while, and then you see the band kind of going, "Hey, ladies and gentlemen, it's us," and the whatever, and all of it's kind of goes on for a while, and you see security guards, and it's actually a really nice place, nice scenery or whatever. And then like they're kind of just outside talking, and then um there's the kid who's kind of just a little snot nosed brat, but he's funny. He's funny. He's genuinely hilarious in this film. Um, because he's there like flipping a coin. He's like, "Hey, hey," trying to drop it down, like, "Oh, this is really, really high," and it's like showing the height. And you're even looking at it, you're kind of like, "Ooh," and he's like, "Hey, don't be messing with that. You could end up killing someone." He's like, "Oh yeah, 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 of course, sorry." "Oh my god, yeah, sorry, of course." Fat ass. I just like love that like line delivery. Um, and then like there's a moment where she goes into the hall. She's like, "Oh, are you okay?" It's like, "Oh yeah, I'm just feeling a bit, nauseous or whatever." And the girl's like, "Oh, how far along are you?" It's like, "What?" "Oh, oh, about 2 months." It's like, "Oh, I haven't told my boyfriend yet." And she's like, "Oh." It's like, "Oh, do you think he'd be annoyed?" And it's like, "No, no. If he loves you, does he love you?" It's like, "Yeah." Then he'll be happy. And then he wants to propose, and then you get that amazing scene. And like, can I just point out as well that this is also one of the most original openings to Final Destination in this franchise, right? This actually is the most original, because the first one's obviously the Flight 180 plane. Second one is the highway. Third one is the roller coaster. Fourth one's the race car track. Fifth one was the Golden Gate Bridge. This is like a big fucking tall building, and like you get a sense of when the lift is moving up and stuff, how high up it is, and you're kind of like, "Fuck, something's gonna happen here." And even the film comes full circle as well, because the train track is like the first shot and kind of like the last shot of the film, and the train track area that's shown is actually very similar to the one in the first one, and I actually think it is that one. I could be wrong, but I think it could be in the Final Destination lore. Um, so she's kind of just there, whatever. Um, and it's like looking around and just taking it all in, and then the guy's like talking to her, saying how much he loves her, kissing her, And like you do get a sense that they're a lovely couple. It's actually really sweet at the beginning. It's like, because I love you, I think you're the best, blah 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 blah. Even when they're in the car and when they get out of the car and stuff, which I feel like you kind of get that a little bit in some of the other films, but there's not, oh, I'm really horny and that kind of shit. Like that's not in this one as much, so I like that. But then he kind of proposes or whatever, and she's like, oh, is that a yes? And she goes, yeah. It's like, you want to start a life with me, with both of us and all that. And he's like, are you okay? It's like, she goes, I'm sorry I didn't tell you. He's like, I'm the happiest guy in the world. It's great. It's a really sweet scene, but you're like, fuck, something's going to happen here. And it is actually so fucking tragic because it doesn't end well. Like, I was not expecting the film to actually happen the way I did. I thought Bloodlines was just a cool title. But no, Bloodline actually, because Bloodline is such an overused title for films, but they actually use it really effectively in this, I think. Because when I heard the title Final Destination Bloodlines, I was just like, dude, just gotta Final Destination 6, you know what I mean? But look, it's a better title than their Final Destination, which wasn't the fucking final one, But, that happens. And then they're all dancing on the dance floor to You Make Me Wanna Jump. And that, they're kind of just dancing to that over, that goes on for a while. And the ground starts to crack. The glass and shit. And then you just get a phenomenal opening scene, which is up there with the Flight 180 scene, with the fucking highway crash in the second one, and with the Golden Gate Bridge one in the fifth one. This is phenomenal because you see the screws coming loose at the bottom. The kid is the one that causes it. He just flips a fucking coin and it goes through the fucking vents and shit. And it's a, CGI. And the coin actually becomes really, really symbolic throughout the film. And that happens or whatever. Because even like later on in the movie when the woman's walking out of the hospital, she picks the coin up and it's like, oh, and then she's like, near the end of the film, she's buying something. It's like, oh, can I have this? And then she kind of picks up the lucky coins. Like, can I get 2 of those, please? And she, she picks up, I can't remember what she says actually, but there was something where she kind of said it in a weird, the line weird. But she's like, picks up the lucky coin. And the lucky coin drops. She picks up a coin. The lucky coin drops out in slow motion, and it's like so ridiculous as well. It goes, it's so over the top because it rolls all the way down this kind of like steep hill, and like jumping through things and jumping all through all these different, things and stuff, and then it goes on, like streets and stuff. And then it goes on to the train track, and you're just like, what the fuck, But but so like back to the scene, like But like that was a fun scene, but like this is so effective. So they're dancing or whatever, it's cracking. The music and tension is building up, and you do hear the music and tension kind of build up throughout the film. And it's building or whatever, building up. And as it's, the fucking place is crashing, it's like, you see the little kid. There's a moment where she's kind of walking down the stairs, and she's kind of exploring the place, and it's actually a really nice building. She's running into people, and she's like, excuse me, please, excuse me, or whatever. And then you're kind of going like, part was like, oh, let's just leave it. It's like, oh no, let's just explore around. Let's go to the bar and stuff like that. And I like that they don't get kicked out or whatever. Because I think it's like they're not allowed to have a dinner reservation, and like you kind of just see these different like tables and different things going on. It actually was very formal as well, which is what I liked about it, because when you look at the other films, it's all modern. Like obviously this is modern, it's set in modern day, but the opening is very old fashioned, and I like it because it's different. It's different. Now I know different doesn't always mean good, but I felt like it was really effective in this scene. I don't know, it worked. Even though I don't really think that the 50s or 60s would have this big fucking expensive thing. I could be wrong, but whatever. It's a fucking horror film about death, so I don't know. But yeah. So when this death starts happening, they're all dancing like yeah. What starts happening is like, oh my god, what, we need to get off, and then the thing starts coming apart. the fucking floor breaks. Like, oh shit! And then people start getting crushed and fucking blood splashing everywhere. And there's people running like, oh my god, it's on fire. And the mother's like, oh, help me, you know. I think the mother she was talking to, the woman she was talking to earlier, is the mother of this kid, which I'll come back to later. And there's people getting fucking crushed, like, and like, you know, fucking things going through people's heads. And then the kid is running, oh my god. He says, and they're running, everyone to the stairs, and they're running down the stairs, like, everyone, come on, kids first. Everyone get back, kids first. You know, that's what the kid says, and he jumps as the stairs are collapsing and things are breaking. And he's so selfish that, like, about, like, a bunch of people get crushed, and he just jumps off, and he's like, oh, whatever, and he kind of runs off as, like, half of the building falls, and he just looks down and he runs off. You know, and there's people getting crushed. The fucking British guy that was refusing them earlier is like, oh, sorry, I can't let you in. I'm really sorry. He's running, and then they're all trying to get in the lift. It's like, yeah, this is really crushing. It's crushing them, and then the fucking lift kind of goes and just fucking cuts him in half, fucking squishes him to death, and there's people fucking getting crushed, and there's blood everywhere. Bang, bang, bang. There's people falling. Like, oh my god. She's like, help. I was like, help, I love you, you know. And she's trying to hang on the edge. He's like, hold on, you know. And then people fall into her deaths and they're smacking. And she sees the guy and he's like, no. And bang. Fucking, like, ends up dying. Blood goes everywhere. This, that, the other. Blah, 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 blah. You know, people getting crushed. People dying, falling really high heights. The kid ends up escaping, running out, and he's like, yeah. And then he runs off and then, you know, unapologetically crushes him. Blood everywhere. And there's people dying left and right. She's hanging off. The kid's hanging off. She's like, hang on. The thing is on fire, blowing up. There's one lady that's like, there, like, and then she ends up, like, going on fire, like, and it's like practical. She's like, she's running around, and it's fucking hilarious. Like, me and my friend were breaking our shite laughing at that. We just thought it was so funny. And the guy's on fire, the girl's on fire, there's people on fire, like, and it's insane. Like, it's carnage, blood, guts, fire, whatever, place is blowing up, thing is hanging, your woman's hanging off, right, with the kid at the edge of the building. She's like, hang on, everyone is dead. And he's like, oh, help, whatever. And out of fucking nowhere, you know, like, she's there, but, like, the fucking nail's gone right through her. And you're like, what the fuck? And it's, like, really tense, but she's in pain. And it's like, no. And her finger comes off, and it's a bit of practical gore, and she falls with the kid. And then you get a close-up of her falling, and bang, blood. And then it just, the shot comes right out of the eye, and she goes, and it's the girl modern day going, you know, in a college class. And then she goes, well, I know that, the teacher goes, well, I know that algebra's scary, but it can't be that scary. And the class laughs or whatever, and he walks up, it's like, I need to see you after class. And right away I went, oh my god, they actually done something different with it. They had it be an ancestor, you know what I mean? And then they zoomed out and showed a completely different person having somebody else's vision, which I just thought was excellent. It was like, this is such an original fucking concept for a new film in a long-running franchise. This is phenomenal. Like, this is... I was like, holy fuck. Because I'd heard, right, that people were loving this film. And look, don't get me wrong, I was excited, but I wasn't like fucking... I was like, it can't be that good. You know? But I went to see it today, and not only did I enjoy it, I loved it. This is one of my favourite films of the year. Now, it's not Sinners. It's fucking up there, though. It's great. And I was just kind of going, oh my god, you know. And then she's on college campus or whatever, and she's there having nightmares, and her like, you know, and her friend's like, oh my god, and you're hearing kind of the dialogue, and she's like, oh, help me, whatever. It's like, I hate these dreams, and she's like, yeah, so do I. It's like, God, I have to get out of this. She's like, escape death. Yeah, because if you don't, you're going to end up dying. It's like, I keep having these awful dreams. I think they mean something. Yeah, they do. Because I'm going to end up and you're going to wake up dead. Because I'm going to end up murdering you myself. You know, it's that kind of funny humor. You know, so I like that. So, okay, I have to go home. And right away, I gotta say, I really like the lead in this film. I feel like the Final Destination films always make the leads really likable. Um, I always like the leads in each of the films. I think every lead is strong, but this one's really strong. I would say, oh my god, I just remembered something. I she I would say she is as strong as like the likes of Alex and Claire from the first film, and Claire was in the first two, and it's Kimberly, yeah, the second one. Who's actually Kimberly is actually mentioned in this film, and I only copped that on now. I was like, I've heard Kimberly's name before, like oh, it's like this girl Kimberly. She's mentioned in one scene. I don't know, is it? I think it's a scene where she's like, oh, there's this girl Kimberly, blah 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 blah, and I think Tony Todd mentions her, so she was from the second film, so they mention her. Mm. But there was great moments where she's driving home. It's like, oh yeah, Dad, I'm on my way home, and she goes and talks to her father and stuff. And her father's kind of like, oh, it's nice to see you again. It's like, hey, I'm so happy to see you. It's like, oh, hi, Dad, blah 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 blah. Where's Charlie and all that kind of stuff. And they're kind of just having dialogue in the kitchen. It's like, oh, I've been having these like, do you know where Grandma blah 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 is? Oh, it's like, no, I'm not sure. It's just like, oh, because he's like, what's this about? And he's like, oh, because I keep having these really, this is going to sound crazy, but I keep having these weird dreams about her on like this balcony and blah, 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 blah. I know Charlie comes down, she's kind of talking to him, like, hi, Charlie's like, hey, what's up? Or whatever. And he has the skateboard and goes off or whatever. And then one of the things I loved about it is the relationship between the brother and sister. I really love it. And I thought Theo, I can't pronounce his second name, Brinus, whatever the fuck his name is, who y'all might remember was Junior in Chucky season 1. He was brilliant in this film. I actually really liked this character. I knew he was in it, but fuck me, he plays like a gigantic fucking part in it. I was like, oh my god, because even the trailers I didn't think like they showed him, but they don't show him talking that much. It's like, yeah, there's a great moment with her in the car driving and bonding and kind of making fun of each other. It's like, oh, you're going to the prom, yeah, or I'm not going to prom. It's like, oh, I flunked out of college. It's like, oh, really? Yeah, that's crazy. It's like, wow. It's like, sorry. It's like, why are you laughing? I don't know. I find it funny. You know, they're kind of just having this kind of back and forth in the car or whatever. It's like, look, don't tell Dad, but I'm kind of on probation. I was on probation. It's like, wow, that's insane. And they're kind of just talking. It's like, how are you? It's like, oh, yeah, yeah, you know. They're just talking back and forth in the car. There's a nice little dialogue scene between them. And then they get to the house, and there's a lot of those kind of scenes with the other characters, and I think a lot of them are very memorable. You know, there's they're all in the house like, hey, how are you? And he's like, whoa, what's up? You know, and they're kind of like, you know, making fun of each other. He's like, what the fuck's going on, man? You know, he's talking to the blonde guy, and he's like, I can't fucking find a turtle, and they're looking for a fucking turtle, which I found funny. I can't find a fucking turtle, blah 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 blah. You know, which by the way, there's actually a really sweet scene later on where like he's like talking to the guy, and he's just like, oh, look, if I die, can you please take care of my turtle for me? Because they live up to 100 and I don't want that. There's also a really funny moment as well where like, look, you heard the guy, the only way we can beat the death curse is if we either die or kill someone. And then they're kind of looking around, who doesn't have long left? And then there's a really funny dark scene where they're kind of looking over and they see babies and they're like, yeah, we're not doing that. Yeah, we're not killing those babies. He's like, don't, yeah. Although, he's like, no, we're not touching those babies. Don't you dare touch those babies. Like, yeah, nope, yeah, not doing that. That's a little bit too fucked up. The dark humor is great, you know? But, they're all kind of talking in the kitchen. The uncle and the mother are like, hey, what's going on? You know, they're talking and like, oh, how are you? And, you know, the conversation's going good. And then he's like, hey, do you know about Aunt whatever the fuck? And they're kind of like, no, I can't. Look, we don't want to talk about that one. Like, please, we can't help you. And they're kind of like, look, yeah, she was a nut job. Don't go. They're all kind of like, don't go near her. No, please, I need to know. I keep having these weird dreams. Look, she was a nutcase. She had mental health problems. We cannot give you the diary. It's like, look, I need to figure out something about her. Please. And they kind of all walk off. And she's like, look, please tell me. And the mother's like, look, he'll never forgive me if you do. It's like, no, please, I'm begging you, please. And she just goes, right, definitely don't go and look in the drawer under there. So then she looks, sees the thing, is like, oh, finds out what it is. But I love those kind of character moments, and when she drives, and the music and tension of when she drives, and the kind of atmosphere of the kind of suburban neighborhood, and even like the shot of the suburban neighborhood at the start, and then even the modern day kind of look and the music. I can also point out as well, what the fuck was this movie's obsession with using Guardians of the Galaxy songs, where there's two of them in there. Pina Colada's in there, and Spirit in the Sky. There's like, okay, lol, let's go. And they get into the car. We gotta go and stop death. And they're driving, and you hear, when I die and I lay me to rest, gonna go to the place that's the best. And they're kind of all talking in the car. But it's actually really, really funny as well. I actually thought that the music was really fucking good. Like, not just the original soundtrack, because it suited, but the songs they choose, like the song they use when, like the sad song they use, the heavy metal part, and then that song, or whatever, but I thought that those scenes were great. I thought that there was great family drama in there. I thought, like, the scene where they're at the funeral of the father, and they're there like, oh, this is awful, I can't believe this is happening, and they're all just kind of sitting there talking to each other. It's like, I'm so sorry. And then her and the brother are talking or whatever, and then like she's like, and the mother's there, it's like, yeah, whatever. And she's pissed off at her mother, but Charlie is like, look, would you not just give her a chance? She's gone through a lot. And he kind of makes this like sly remark, and he's just like, what's that supposed to mean? It's like, you haven't called us for months. It's like, I had a lot going on. Yeah, I know. But we missed you. We want to talk to you. You just didn't call me. And you're annoyed at mother for something that your mom, for something you did as well. You know what I mean? So there's those kind of moments as well. And the thing is, like, the mother, you actually get why she left as well. So she's talking. She's like, hi, and trying to make amends. And then there's a moment where they're all in the kind of van driving, and they're all talking about, and in the van, about death and all this shit. And she kind of just turns around and goes like, oh, talking to the mother, and it ends up going, look, yeah, you seem to have a habit of abandonment or whatever. And then she's like, look, I'm sorry, but I was raised for abandoning you, but I was raised in a household where my mother was obsessed with keeping me safe, and I had that fear, and I feared every night when I had both of yous, that you and then Charlie, that you'd die on me. And like, that's understandable. And they're like, yeah, and they kind of bond, and you feel fucking sorry for her then, you're like, fuck, that's fucking sad. So that moment was great as well. And then the hospital scene is amazing. It's like, oh, we got to go find this guy called JB, And as we know, Final Destination fans, JB is the late great Tony Todd's character, who was in the first two films as JB. He voiced the devil in the third film, wasn't in the fourth film, and then was in the fifth film as JB again. They go and they're like, oh, we're trying to look for this guy, and then they walk in or whatever, and they find this one nurse, and like, are you him? It's like, no. And they walk in, and once again the dark humor, like, oh, how are we gonna find this guy? And they walk in, he sees him fucking operating, and he's like, oh, are you it's like, no, that's not me, he's in there or whatever. And he's like, okay. And they walk off. I've seen that actor somewhere before as well. He's a really freaky looking actor. Oh, where have I seen him before? And he walks in, he's like, hello everyone, and like, rest in peace Tony Todd, because he was such a fucking talent in this film. Like, he was such a talent, in this film, in Candyman, and he doesn't look well, and it's really, really sad, because he's a lot skinnier. If you look at him in the original, he looks healthy, and here he's just look so bad, but he was a great actor. You know, whether it's Platoon, The Rock, voicing Venom in Spider-Man 2, the small role he had in the Scream TV show, obviously Candyman, you know, Final Destination, and even the small role he had in Smallville as well. You know, he's a great actor, and he's just there kind of talking about. He's like, let me guess, death is coming for all of you, and you need a way to stop it. I was like, yeah, look, we heard that you were able to do that, and he's like, so death's coming for you, and he's like, and the guy's like, yeah, pretty much, yeah, or whatever, and he's kind of going, look, I don't really give advice about that anymore. People used to come for me with advice all the time, blah 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 blah. And he was always kind of a creepy character, and there was always this kind of hint, I felt anyway, subliminal kind of hint that he was actually death. You know, he was actually. That's just the interpretation I got from it. But I think, judging by this film, that's not really the case, I don't think. Because he almost got affected. We find out more about him, which is why over here they actually. My friend actually went to a screening. She went to a screening. Two of my friends went to a screening. They're a couple. They went to a screening that was showing the first one. And then they got early access to this one. Because there was a connection. You know, so there was a connection with that. So they're like, oh yeah, people used to come to me all the time. It's like, how do we stop it? Look, the only way you can stop death is if one of you die or you kill someone. And they're kind of like, blah, 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 blah. Look, if I were you, I'd enjoy the time you have left. And then the last line he says is heartbreaking. He's like, look, life is a precious, precious thing. Enjoy the time you have left. But there's a great moment, it's like, you're kill or be killed. It's like, well, it's like, what? I'm not going to kill. He's like, well, he needs to die. It's like, no. It's like, we're not going to kill someone. I'm not going to kill someone. And he's like, no, let's just hear what he has to say. I thought that was funny. And then even, he has to die. He's like, I'm not going to die and all that. And it's like, who's next on the list? He's just like, you know, I love the humor. And like, the guy is like, with the Pearsons, is that kind of lovable dick. But like, he's actually like, he's not a bad guy, if that makes sense. Like, even the whole thing, he wants to kill him, but he wants to revive him. You know, it's not like the second film where you got that guy that went fucking crazy, or the fifth film where his friend tries to fuck, you know. He's actually a likable kind of dude, you know. I think they mentioned Kimberly and all this stuff. You know, there's moments, of course, where she's looking through Death's design and looking at different, like, signs and stuff. And I love when he first appears, like, hello, you hear the music from the original Final Destination, which was nice. I was like, oh, shit, you know, fan service done right. But, like, all these different things to try and connect them and all that stuff. But I just thought that was done very well. And they walk off and stuff. But, yeah, I mean, the deaths in this film are great, right? The deaths in this film are fucking brutal in the best possible way. You know, as I said, they're so overwhelmingly creative. Like, I mean, they've always been creative, but fuck me, they really upped the creativity in this one. With the fucking chains and fucking going into the guy's nose, and, you know, everything is, like, foreshadowed perfectly. You know, when he's trying to get the fucking peanuts here, I was like, okay, I want to get these peanuts here. It's like, oh, why would I get those ones? They're not salty enough. I was like, damn, get those ones. And it's like, come on. He starts hitting. He's like, come on, maybe you're going to stop it. You know? And he fucking breaks it. He's like, stop, they're going to break it. It's like, go behind it. And you think it's going to crush him or something. It's like, come on. It's like, you're going to break it. They're going to call. It's like, hi, yeah, we're working here. We're just trying to fix this. You know, we're trying to fix it. Come on, hurry up. You know, and then they get it. The thing sticks out, and you're like, okay, whatever. Then they go into this kind of metal room. It's like, yeah, this is kind of cool. It's like, right, stay here, sits down, whatever. And you're kind of like, okay, what's going to go on here? You know? And then all of a sudden, the shiny demon, he's just kind of in there, eats the chocolate, right? Really tense scene, opens up, there you go, eats the chocolate. And he's like, oh, it's really good. It's really good. It's like, is the allergy happening? It's like, oh, maybe I outgrew it, you know? And he starts kind of go, oh. And I was, he's like, no, 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 it hasn't kicked in yet. You have to die. He's like, no, and it's like, oh fuck, and then he kind of falls, and even, the effect is kind of happening, right? But the thing is, you do kind of see all these other different things kind of happen and turn the machine on and the metal thing, and you see like the TV moving outside. You see all these kind of different metal objects kind of happening, hitting, and then the guy's fucking like nipples end up, because he gets piercings. His piercings start coming out like out of his fucking eyebrows, his nose, his nipples, his fucking dick. He ends up getting a fucking erection from the magnet and fucking, and he ends up going flying, and then ends up going right into it, right? And he's trying to save him, and all this metal shit comes like and ends up piercing him and going right fucking through him, and like the blood and gore is brutal. Like it ends up ripping him in half, and fucking things are spiking out, and he goes in and and it is gory, and the guy's trying to stop it. And he's like, and then the woman comes in, it's like, oh my god, are you okay? He's like, ugh. And then what ends up happening is the metal from the vending machine earlier comes and right in the brain, and then they run in and scream, and then when they realize, oh my god, where is he? They run after him like, oh my god, we gotta stop him or whatever, and then they find him dead, and then they're crying. And they're outside the hospital crying like, oh my god, what if he's next? What's gonna happen? Like, we have to stick together, and and Tio's acting in that scene was great. He's like, oh, we gotta really have to. What are we gonna do? We have to do something. It's like we could stop it, and then they drive, and and there's just this, amazing sequence, really, like just amazing. Um, and like there's loads of great moments in the film. There's the moment where they're all having the fucking barbecue, and they're playing Jenga, like, oh yeah, come on, let's do this, and there's all this other kind of stuff happens. Well, the Pina Colada song is playing, and then the glass breaks and goes into the fucking drink, and you think he's about to drink it, and it falls off, and she's like, ew, and then the girl drinks, she's like, oh my god, ew, there's a bug in here, ew, and it just captures the humour well. The woman is there, the mother comes, she brings the cookies, like, oh, are these nice, these cookies are lovely, blah, 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 I was like, he has a peanut allergy, she's like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. It's like, yeah. And then they're on the trampoline, and I think it's about to break, and then they're like, oh shit, like, and she knows, wait, and you think there's a rake underneath, you think it's gonna pierce them. No, she's like, grabs it, puts it away, she's like, wow, thank you, and then they're bouncing, then falls off, or whatever, the bouncing goes through the trampoline. Then there's a great moment where the brother and sister are just sitting on the uncle and the mother are sitting there bonding. The father ends up walking barefoot right on the glass, goes right through his foot. He's like, oh, and then before that, something happened and turned the lawnmower on, and the rake falls, the lawnmower comes, and like it's a scene that kind of goes on for a while in the garden, and just fucking lawnmower goes onto his face, blood goes everywhere. It's fucking awesome. And then there's that moment where she's trying to give a conspiracy theory. She's trying to get the whole family together. Like, look, there's something happening. This is happening. This happened here. This happened here. This happened here. It's like, you're going crazy. It's like you're turning my dad's death into a conspiracy theory. It's like, enough. No, death is coming for us because we weren't meant to be here in the first place. And she's like, no, I can't listen to this. And it's like, look, that's what the wife says, and what mother's like, I love you, but sometimes I really hate you. Like, you can't do this. Like, just give it up. And they're all kind of having this family meeting, and they're all like kind of getting annoyed at her. And then there's another scene where they're having a family meeting because of more death that happens. And like, look, we have to figure out what we got to do. It's like, how are we going to survive? Blah, blah, blah. You stay here, you stay here, you stay here. It's like, we got to figure out what to do. And all that stuff. And that kind of goes on for a while. That scene. And he's like, oh, it's like, right, we'll go. We have to go to the hospital, figure out what's going on. I figured out about this guy, blah, 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 blah. He's like, well, look, I'll go. And it's like, no, you stay here. I think you're better off staying here. It's like, no, any household accidents can happen. I could fall down the stairs, anything could happen, And it's like, okay, that's fine. And they get in the car and they drive off. But like I say, there's some beautiful fucking scenery, and the choice of location and the fucking house they live in is great. And the father's there. It's awesome. I love the scene where the mother comes back. It's like, do you not want to go and say hi to mom? It's like, yeah, I don't know. She left us after a long time. It's like, oh my god, you're not happy to see her? It's like, oh my god, is that mom? You know, they're kind of standing there, and she kind of gets out of this kind of camper van. It's like, oh my god, it's great to see you, you know. And then she comes back or whatever, and she's bitter at first, and then she's kind of talking to the husband. They have like an awkward moment. It's like, oh, this is awkward or whatever. Um, you know, but I really like the father in the film. How he was very good. Like he bonds with his daughter a lot. He's like, "You okay, sweetie?" and all this kind of stuff. And you know, I thought that the friend was kind of bitchy, but she never really made amends with her, which I didn't mind. I thought it was different. You know, she got crushed obviously, and then you have the blonde dude. Um, and I like that some of the characters are likable. They kill them off anyway. I know there's that moment where they mention, oh, I heard you're bringing a girl to the prom. Oh, I was like, how come you never told me about that? Oh, I just never did, you know. So there's nice little fun moments like that, and then you know, there's that kind of thing of like, the finale gets really intense. All this crazy fucking shit's happening, um, and essentially like, oh shit, like what the fuck is happening? Things are going crazy, and like, oh shit, um, and there's explosions, and then she nearly dies, and then he has to go and fucking stop her from drowning and fucking revive her, and there's people getting killed. There's fucking crazy shit going on. And there's a fire, and the mother's kind of there like, go, go, whatever. Um, and I believe the mother dies in that scene. I might actually have to look over that scene again. Just to get a refresher. Hold on, I'll look it up on YouTube now. 1 second. Okay, sorry. I needed a bit of a refresher there because I was like, I know there was like a fucking fire and all that. So I just wanted a bit of a refresher there. So essentially, they go to the fucking house, right? They get to the cavern, like, oh, we gotta figure out what's going on. This kind of fire happens. They're driving, like, oh, big explosion. Kid that plays Junior in Child's Play, Charlie's like, oh, help me, it's crushing him, whatever. And then the sister's kind of like nearly there, drowning, whatever, nearly dying on the fire. Mother comes, covered all in fucking blood, which is great character development moment because she really redeems herself for leaving as well. So she ends up kind of lifting the thing up, and then you just get a hilarious scene because like the fucking pole falls, like, I'm gonna stay alive as long as like, and she just gets crushed to death. Blood goes everywhere. She goes, revives her. Girl comes to life, saves the day, go off or whatever. And just a great finale. And then you do have the scene where she goes to visit Iris, and it reminded me, actually, this scene kind of reminded me a lot of Halloween 2018 when the two podcasters go to visit Laurie Strode. It kind of reminded me of that. As we drive in, she's like, fuck off, what do you want? He's like, look, I'm your granddaughter. She comes in, she's like, right, jewelry, everything off, I'm not dangerous. She's like, no, it's not you I'm worried about. So then she goes in, and I just say, the fucking shot of her walking and just the backdrop is amazing with the fucking phenomenal music. Just really adds to the scene. So they walk in or whatever, and she opens it. She's like, right, and she's so paranoid. She's like, right, stay there, stay, don't move. I was like, oh my god, it really is you. You're great. And she's like, stay. And she's like, look, sit down. Then they're kind of talking. It's like, oh god, I've been here for years and years and years. Death has always had a blah 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 blah. Then they're kind of just talking back and forth, like, here's a book, here's what you need to know, blah 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 blah. There is a great moment, I don't know if it's that scene or a later scene, where she's kind of looking through a scrapbook of different scenarios that have happened. She sees the Flight 180 thing, she sees the highway crash from the second film, highway crashed in the Flight 180 thing. And it's like, look, someone has survived the death before, blah 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 blah. I think it is Kimberly, she mentions, because I think Kimberly is actually the only. But they say that, but it did kill her in the end. It did find her, so we do get a confirmation that she died off screen. because death eventually killed her. Which is proof that they really can cheat death in these films. They never say what happened to Officer Burke, but oh well. Anyway, I know Mickey from Final Destination, Mickey from Shameless USA is in Final Destination 2, blows up. Anyway, gets the scrapbook, whatever. She's like, look, blah blah blah. Then this thing is happening. She's like, look, death eventually got to me because now I have cancer. So it's never stopped the son of a bitch. So it's like, even fuck. It adds more to the lore that even if you go nowhere, you hide out, you do this, it's not going to work. Because they're even like, look, we have to all do this. We have to just hide away. What? And they're all like in a room at one point, the whole family, like, oh, what? You're suggesting we hide away for a year? And they're like, no. And the mother's like, no, just me. I'll do it. Or whatever, you know? But some of the best lines in the film are definitely from the guy with the fucking piercings and stuff. And I love that you think he got killed and he didn't. I just love how it, because you know, I was like, they're not going to kill that character off straight away. Because there's even moments where he goes, yeah, fuck you, and then where she's going on about death, and he just goes, oh really, like that. It's like, yeah. It's like, because death is coming for us, and he's just like that, you know. He's just kind of doing all these witty things or whatever. So I really like that. But anyway, what else was I gonna say there? But yeah, and then we have that scene, you know, and then the thing's gonna fire. You can't get me, you son of a bitch. And she kind of walks out or whatever. And then as she's walking out, it's like, you know, she sees the thing move, and she's like, hey, hold on, stop, right? And then she's kind of like afraid to walk out because she's agoraphobic. Then walks out, she's like, stop. Then the chicken thing comes down, and it goes right through her mouth. Blood goes everywhere onto her face. And then the father's like, oh, I'm so sorry you saw that. But we also do hear from her, she tells the story of what happened after she had her vision. So we do still get to see that just later on in the film. And then we get that after the vision, we're all gonna die. And then there's the kid is like there, oh, I'm so sorry, yeah, of course. Fat ass. He's like, stop with the penny. He's like, Jesus fucking Christ, lady, get off me, you know. I was like, please, we're gonna die. It's like, is that a no? It's like, we're all gonna die, everyone get off. And then the thing starts happening again, and then it kind of zooms out, and the way even the zoom in and zoom out's happen in this film is just brilliantly done, and it's perfect. Like even how it zooms out at her at the beginning, you know, when of the blonde girl or whatever, and she's just kind of like, she kind of just goes, I saved a lot of lives that night, lives that weren't meant to be saved, you know, and it's just great. And then I thought the ending was a bit kind of strange, but like, you know, she's getting ready for the prom. There's that line because the girl goes, do I look okay at the start, and goes, you look like $1,000,000 and all that, you know. And then at the end of it, she's like, oh darling, you look like $1,000,000, you know. And he's kind of talking, oh, I heard you saved, we were very fond of him, I heard he saved your life, you know. He's getting ready for the prom, and even when he's getting ready, you know, the mother and the father are there, and he's kind of like does this kind of like cool kind of like turn around in a suit or whatever, and he's getting ready for the prom or whatever. And then like after he kind of does that, you know, he's kind of talking to her, oh, we're very fond of him or whatever, we heard he saved your life and all that. And it's like, yeah, she died and I brought her back to life. It's like, I don't think that's how that works and all that. And he kind of, because he's a doctor, and his name, he's like, oh, this is Doctor, and it's also Doctor, it's like Reddick or something, which is one of the producers or writer of Final Destination, so it's a nice little Easter egg there. Because I knew that because it popped up in the end credits. But he's like, that's not how it works and all that. And he's like, what? It's like, it means it didn't happen. And then we didn't stop it. So then the train ends up coming, right? And going over the penny, crashing. And then you also see a truck full of logs, which is obviously a reference to the second film, crashes into that. Fucking the logs are on the train. They go fucking flying off. Fucking crashes through the city. Crashes through all these houses. They're running like, oh my god, running. fucking destruction. And I'm like, oh my god, has it stopped? And then, as they're running, bang, bang, kills both of them. Credits. And then you hear the, cause you make me wanna jump. Also, I forgot to mention that we learn Tony Todd, when he's telling the characters the story, we find out that he was actually the little boy that night. He's like, I was there with my mother, and she's like, JB, come on. And you hear the hey, 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 and she's trying to save her. It's like, and she saved my life that night. It's like, and your grandmother saved my life that night. And it adds this new lore that is just phenomenal. And I love that. I was like, yes. Yes. So, I loved hearing that lore, So I was happy about that. And then like seeing the two of them hanging off. And then you do see a few shots of that same scene of her falling and going right through her mouth or whatever. And then even the end credits and the way they're done is brilliant. And like the way the coin is rolling, and then like saying in memory of Tony Todd, which was really sweet. Also love the lighting and the colour and the aesthetic of the film. Like even like the red light and stuff, or as Tracy Film says, red light, like in the tattoo parlour, and even the way the kind of fan moves around. I just thought it was brilliantly done. Honestly, the only issue I would really say is some of the effects and like the CGI are kind of like, there is some bits of practical effects, but it is mainly CGI blood. But at the same time, it's a double-edged sword because it's very gory. It's probably the goriest of the franchise, and the CGI gore that's in it is actually great. But it's one of those kind of things where like, it's kind of one of those things where it's a mixed kind of thing with the gore. Also, the ending is kind of just whatever. It's cool. Like it's a cool death, but it's like I guess there is that kind of message showing that death can't be avoided. It's that kind of subliminal thing, and then like you can't cheat it, and I think it's kind of clear that this is a horror franchise where there's not really any survivors. It never ends well when you think about it, because the first film, it's like, oh, they're all in Paris. One of them gets killed. Although they survived the first film, we find out Alex died off screen in the second one. Claire dies in the second one as well. We find out that Kimberly died in this one. The third film, they all die at the end of it. The fourth one, they all die in that. Fifth one, same. So, yeah. I thought it was very well edited. It was visually stunning. I thought it was excellently portrayed, like directed, camera work, shots, subliminals. The foreshadowing I thought was great. The acting is at sometimes a bit like off, even like when the fucking father dies, they're like but it's meant to be. It's a very self-aware satire film. It's a very campy horror film in modern day, and it worked, and I thought it was excellent. I loved it. I would give it a 9 out of 10. That was my movie review of Final Destination Bloodlines. See you guys later, and fuck off. Not joking. Bye.